Humbert accepted a teaching post at an American college. He makes his way to his accommodation, and there, a widow named Charlotte Hayes greets him. After showing him her messy home, Charlotte leads him to the garden. While she's proudly showing him her lilies, Humbert becomes wholly transfixed by the sight of her daughter, Lo. Lo is lying on the grass on her stomach, flipping through a book while their sprinkle drizzles her. When Lo notices him, she flashes him a smile, showing off her retainers and highlighting her young age of 14. Humbert is immediately enchanted. And he asks Charlotte how much his room is. Days pass. From his room, he can see the bathroom, and from there, he can see Lo's bedroom.
In order to recognize the little deadly demon among the others.
No, I have not made my bed.
I asked you to make your bed, didn't I?
No, you asked me if I'd made my bed.
Now!
I long for some terrific disaster.
Make your bed!
Her mother instantly eliminated, along with everybody else for miles around. Me too.
A pimple on my chin?
Look absolutely perfect to me.
Humbert! Is she keeping you up?
No.
Charlotte makes Lo pack her things for camp, then boarding school right afterward. Lo refuses to cooperate. When it's time for Lo to leave, Lo runs back to their home, then up the stairs so she can jump for Humbert. Lo wraps her legs and arms around him, then kisses him softly. She pulls away shortly, and without another word, she runs back to the car, and they drive off. As for Humbert, he rushes straight to Lo's room, then dives into her closet. But when he hears Louise calling out to him, he immediately straightens up to meet her. She gives him a letter, and when he reads it, he discovers that it's from Charlotte, professing her love to him. She says that she wants him out when she gets home because if he stays, it would only mean that he wants to be her husband and Lo's father. The two get married 2 weeks after, with Lo absent from the ceremony. 6 weeks into their marriage, Humbert successfully avoids most of his husbandly duties by feeding Charlotte sleeping pills. One day, Humbert comes home to find Charlotte crying. It turns out that she had read his diary where he called her a fat cow, old and stupid, and obnoxious, among many things. Furious and distraught, Charlotte calls him a despicable, criminal monster. She promises to leave, and when she does, she swears that Humbert will never see the miserable brat of a daughter again. Humbert is left bewildered, unsure at all of what to do. He tries to tell her that the writing is from a novel he's working on, but when she doesn't buy it, he goes to fix them up a drink. When he returns, he answers their ringing phone. The caller tells him that his wife had been killed outside their home. Charlotte had been hit by a car.
Stand back, please.
Where's my wife?
Are you Mr. Humbert?
I am.
She ran right in front of me. I didn't even see her.
Is this Mrs. Humbert?
Oh, God. Oh.
She was walking to the mailbox. She was going to mail these letters.
After some time, Humbert packs up Lo's clothes, then drives to camp to pick her up. When she sees him, she smiles brightly as she greets Humbert, calling him Dad. While in their car, Lo asks him how her mother is, and with some uncertainty, Humbert says that the doctors aren't sure and that it's something abdominal. Anyway, when Humbert asks what gave her the idea, she answers that he hasn't kissed her yet. In response, Humbert pulls over, he lets Lo get on his lap, and the two of them share a heated kiss, only stopping when a cop car pulls over beside them. The officer asks if they saw a blue sedan, but when Lo crawls over Humbert's lap to give her playful answers, the cop thanks them awkwardly, then drives away. The two later arrive at a hotel. While Humbert speaks with the receptionist, Lo gets on the ground and starts crawling to a dog to play with it mischievously. The dog's owner is a wealthy and much older man clad in a pristine suit. He says that he can smell when people are sweet and that he likes nice, sweet, young people just like her. Lo gives him a sly smile in response. Humbert leads Lo to their hotel room, and once inside, she asks him if they'll be sharing the same room and the same bed. Humbert sits on the bed, attempting to explain to her that as her father, he's responsible for her welfare, and since they're not rich, they're bound to share the same room when they travel. Understanding where this is going, Lo gets up and prances around while Humbert struggles to tell her what happens to two people when they share a room.
No, we're not rich. And so when we travel, we're into, well, how can I put it, into a kind of,
The word is incest.
If I tell you how naughty I was at camp, I promise you won't be mad.
Tell me later.
Where the devil did you get her?
It's my daughter.
You lie.
Good night.
Enjoy.
You played that with Charlie?
Don't tell me you never tried it when you were a kid.
Never.
I guess I'm gonna have to show you everything.
Comfortable. It was something quite special.
They leave the hotel by car. Lo asks if they can stop at a gas station, then anguishes about hurting inside. She asks him what he expected since she was a daisy-fresh girl. Then, Lo muses about calling the police to tell them he forced himself on her before breaking into a grin. The two playfully swat at each other, and when they arrive at the gas station, Lo rushes to the store. When Lo comes back, she asks Humbert for coins so she can call her mother. Humbert finally tells her that her mother is dead. That night, the two lay in separate beds. From then on, they started traveling extensively all over the country.
Give me a quarter and a dime
What for?
for the magic fingers.
My magic fingers aren't enough?
One hot morning in an inn, Lo and Humbert make love on a chair while Lo's reading comics. Humbert starts growing uneasy and paranoid. He's afraid that Lo told the principal about their relationship, so when she mentions she has a complete disinterest in intimate matters, he feels completely anxious. At home, Humbert confronts Lo about missing piano practice and possibly telling her friend about their relationship. Their back and forth grows heated when Humbert slaps her feet off the table. The pair departs from Beardsley and embarks to wherever Lo wants. She marks a map with her lipstick, so Humbert knows where to go. But as they're driving along, Humbert notices that someone's following them. He gives Lo the car's license plate to write down and tells her that a detective's following him, and he looks rather like his Uncle Gustav. One day, Humbert stops at a gas station, and inside the shop, he's trying on some sunglasses. When he looks out the window, he sees Lo talking to a black-clad man wearing a hat. And by the time Humbert had rushed out, the man is gone. Apprehensive, Humbert gets in the car and asks Lo about him, and she explains that he asked if they had a map. As they set off, Humbert tells her that the man was the cop who had been tailing them. The two eventually stay in an inn again, and Humbert leaves Lo to get her bananas while he gets a haircut. In the barbershop, he hears from the radio that Claire Quilty will be in Was, Texas that night. Anxious, Humbert returns to the inn and finds Lo sitting down, her feet dirty and her lipstick smeared, spiraling to paranoia. Suddenly, Humbert pushes Lo to the bed, gets on top of her, and starts demanding to know who it is. He roughly opens Lo's shirt and has his way with her while begging to know who the man is. Lo only laughs and laughs at him, and it isn't until he washes his face that he grasps a semblance of normalcy again. From his luggage, he takes his gun out, and with it in his hand, he stares at nothing in particular. They leave, and on a rainy night, they stop by another inn. As the woman shows Humbert to their room, they notice Lo sitting on the ground, pale and shivering, in the hospital. The doctor tells Humbert that it's just a virus and assures him that it's nothing serious. Humbert wants to stay there with her, but the doctor curtly insists that it's better if he goes since it won't help if he catches it. The next morning, Humbert calls the hospital to ask how Lo is doing. and the nurse tells him that she woke up without a fever, and they let her go with her. Uncle Gustav. For months on end, Humbert searches far and wide for his nymphette, as he would call her. He goes from inn to inn, hotel to hotel. He's learned to recognize the kidnapper's handwriting, but eventually, the trail goes dead and cold, and back to cold and dead Beardsley he goes. 3 years later, Humbert receives a letter. It opens with, "Dear Dad, how's everything? I'm married. I'm going to have a baby." A tear falls down Humbert's face as he reads the letter, and there, Lo asks him for money. She and her husband don't have enough to pay their debts and leave for Alaska, where her husband got promised a job. The letter ends with Lo saying she's gone through so much sadness and hardship, and she signs it off with Dolly, Mrs. Richard F. Schiller. Humbert drives to the address, and he finds a dusty, worn-down home. He goes to the door, and finally, he's reunited with Lo once more. She's no longer dolled up like she used to be, her hair in a simple ponytail, and her belly large with another man's child. Lo smiles brightly, greets him as Dad, and lets him in. Humbert walks around their messy home and sees her husband through the back door, working on some electric wires. He looks closer to her age, and Humbert knows that he's not the man he's looking for. He asks her for her kidnapper, and when Lo gets a cigarette instead of telling him, he starts walking out the door. Finally, she tells him that it was Claire Quilty. With a dreamy smile, Lo remarks about how he was the only man she was ever really crazy about, and when Humbert asks, "What about me?" Lo seems to grow upset at Humbert's insistence. She tells him about how everyone knew Quilty liked little girls and that he filmed them in his mansion. But since she refused to service groups of men because she wanted Quilty instead, he threw her out. As Humbert looks at her, he knew as clearly as he knew he will die that he loves her more than anything he'd ever seen or imagined on earth. He follows her to the living room, and with Lo sitting on the floor, Humbert finally calls her Lolita. He asks her to make the 25 steps with him to the old car she knows so well. Lo asks if he's saying that he'll give them money if she goes to a motel with him, but Humbert quickly tells her that he wants her to leave the place and live, die, and everything with him. Lo could only call him crazy, but Humbert insists that she can still have the money even if she refuses. He smilingly gives her the envelope, and she finds $4,000 bills there, but Humbert starts to cry while watching her go through the money. With a smile, Lo tries to reach for him and thank him, but he backs away, saying he'll die if she touches him. For his last grasp at hope, Humbert asks if there's a chance she'll come with him, but she tells him matter-of-factly she'd almost rather go back with Claire. Humbert begins to take his leave, and when he asks her if she can ever forget what he did to her, Lo only tells her dog to say goodbye to her dad. Humbert dejectedly returns to his car, and from there, he sees Lo waving him goodbye. For a moment, he pictures Lo as his Lolita from 3 years ago, dolled up and waving playfully. Humbert finds himself in Quilty's lavish manner afterward. Despite Humbert's presence, Quilty remains unbothered. Even as he brought out a gun, Humbert introduces himself as Lo's father, and Quilty continues to speak casually with Humbert, as if unaware of the gravity of the situation. Humbert shoots his back, but he's run out of bullets by then, so he quickly reloads while the bloody Quilty staggers to the hallway. Humbert shoots him repeatedly, and the man falls to the ground. With the police on his tail and another group of officers blocking his way, Humbert swerves to a field as his surrender. Humbert leaves his car, and before the police could take him, he overlooks a village where he could hear the melody of children at play. He thinks that the hopelessly poignant thing was not Lolita's absence from his side, but the absence of her voice from the chorus. Humbert died in prison of coronary thrombosis on November 16, 1950. A month later, Lolita died in childbirth. On Christmas Day,